Eagles. Eagles.
It's game day, everybody. Welcome into the JAKIB Pregame Show. Week 14 of the NFL. Moving right along here. Philadelphia Eagles set to take on the Carolina Panthers today. Panthers sitting at 3-9. Their season is all but over. Philadelphia Eagles sitting at 10-2, looking to win their 9th straight game. I'm joined now by Dan Sileo. We'll have John McMullen joining us from Lincoln Financial Field at around 12:05. We'll get the update, the atmosphere, the feeling in the air in Philly. There's nothing like a game day in the city of brotherly love for those who have been there. Big Sills, how you doing on this Sunday morning, my friend?
Always great on a football Sunday. You know what I mean? You come out of a college football wild weekend. Now you're getting ready for, a game that for me today, it's going to be about keeping your rhythm going on what you've accomplished over these last couple of weeks here. Don't let off the gas pedal. Kill this team early. Get the hell out of there. And for me, again, it's going to be mostly about health. We're starting to see the war of attrition take its toll a little bit on the Eagle team, especially at the corner position. Obviously, now the tight end position has been affected by the war of attrition. So, again, Zander, in my opinion, between the Eagles and the Lions, who gets to the finish line healthiest? That's what this thing's going to be about. Health and rhythm is what I'm going to be looking for the next month.
Yeah, and I like your rhythm point because, I mentioned 8 straight games in Sills. There was a couple big opponents in there. You beat the Ravens, the Rams, the Commanders. There was a couple big ones there. This is one where it's like you don't want to fall into playing down to your competition, getting away from the identity, getting away from what you've built in the last 8 weeks. As a guy who's played at a high level, how hard is that to do? That it's a cliche for a reason, right? Don't play down to your competition. What say you?
Yeah, but when you have an experienced team, this to me is the difference between the Lions and the Eagles. The Lions haven't been in this, man, except for last year. They learned how to get through a season a year ago. But the Eagles have been doing this since 17, dude. They've been outside of that 4-win season they had, they've been pretty much in the spotlight. We were talking a little bit about college football prior to coming on, but when you're these big programs and you're constantly in the big giant games, you know how to play to your competition. You don't have to worry about guys not being prepared mentally. Dude, the worst thing you can have is have a coach sit there and have to tell you, hey, let's not play down to our dude, I don't want to talk like that to my guys. I want my guys to know that. And I think this Eagle team does know that, Zander. Dude, go into this game and play them like they're the Ravens. Play them. Hey, when I look at Carolina, if I was Philly, I would look at Carolina and say, that opponent across from me right now is the one opponent that could stop me from having home field advantage and really doing some great things. So don't take anybody lightly. They are somebody in your way. Take them out.
The other thing you mentioned about the Lions, and maybe you could take this out with their Thanksgiving game, but typically they have been blowing teams out. If you weren't going to hang in the game with the Detroit Lions, they were going to blow you out. I'd like to see the Eagles be able to do that again today versus a lowly opponent in the Carolina Panthers. Let's move in here. 8-game winning streak for the Birds. This is a very low-ranked defense, Big Sills, passing and offense. I don't want to call it a glorified preseason game, but is there a way that the Eagles can try and use this to get some of their other parts of the offense going? Look, they're the 31st ranked run defense. We have the best running back in football. Saquon Barkley is going to have a good day. However good of a day as he wants, he's going to be able to have. But shouldn't we also prioritize a little bit? Devontae Smith's coming back today. A.J. Brown's out there. Get that passing game going a little bit. Put some grease in the engine, Big Sills.
You're sounding like a coach right now. You're trying to get me motivated to go out and play hard on Sunday. And, dude, let the players go out and take care of business. You're right. Look, there's some things here's the things you want to look at and you want to try to erect when you want to go forward here and you want to be a great team. You're trying to build up your passing game. Let's see if they get that going in the first quarter. Let's see how they can really get and motivate that team to get that first 15 to 25 play script going. Start doing some things here in the passing game. But you know what you don't want to do, Zander? You don't want to start doing shit that you don't do all the time, each and every single day. Take care of business. John Wooden told me the greatest line of all time. Coach Wooden used to come on my radio show years and years ago God rest his soul. And Coach Wooden used to tell me, week 1, we did the same thing we did, whether we were playing the opener against USC or whether I was playing in a national title game against Kentucky. It didn't matter. He used to have these little flashcards, and they would do the things and the steps that they do. And Nick talked about this a little bit this week about process and doing the process. Zander, this is really about defining your process. The NFL players are a creature of habit. You don't want to start doing shit that's not something that's been something that you guys have done in rhythm the entire year. You don't want to start doing it. I'll give you another great example. Marty Schottenheimer, I brought up last week, one of the greatest win records of all time, 200 wins. But you know what he used to do all the time? He would get into the postseason and he would start doing shit that was completely different than what they had been doing during the year. And that's why he only won 4 football games in the postseason. He was 4-14 in the postseason. Here's a 200-game winner. Never won a ring, never had that opportunity because all those great conference title games he got to overcooked the books. Dude, go into business, take care of it on Sunday, and get the hell out of there.
Yeah, it's a great point, and it's something we've talked about this week, right? I say Big Sills is going to be Big Sills. I'm going to be Big Z, and the Eagles should be the freaking Eagles. Don't embrace who you are. Good stuff there. Sills, what do you make of this Panthers team? I know they're 3-9, obviously not a good football team, but I will say 2-3 in the last 5. I think Bryce Young, maybe I'm a little biased as an Alabama guy, I think he's started to look a little better in the last couple of weeks since he got benched and kind of had to come back into the lineup. They played the Chiefs very close, obviously lost on a field goal in the last seconds. They lost in overtime last week to a team that beat the Eagles in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're playing better football. What do you make of that team right now at 3-9?
There's one thing to be not concerned, but to keep an eye on today. They got the 5th-ranked O-line in football.
Yeah,
they're not terrible there in that O-line. They're actually got a bunch of good players, and they're a good unit in that offensive line. And like I said, not sitting there going, hey, they got a really good running back. And the one thing that I'd love, and I'll be biased too, I like Bryce Young. I like how he's gone through the adversity. You got to remember something, dude. Can you imagine being Bryce Young right now? You go from Alabama and you go from your high school career where you haven't lost. How many games do you think that guy has lost in his life before he got to Carolina? 3? He gets to Carolina. He goes from that environment. Let me tell you something. You go from that environment to consistently losing, and then you get your job yanked from you. Then they put you back in again. I admire the way he's handled this. I don't really think that's a very good organization. I do like Dave Canales, though. I think he's handled him really well. He is playing better, and I do see them being able to run the football a little bit more. Their issues obviously have been over on the defensive side, more so to the point, but they are playing with a little bit more consistency. And I'll tell you something that I like. I think since they put him back in the starting lineup, that team's rallying around Bryce. I like what they're doing with him right now compared to what they did with him, say, 3 months ago. So, look, it's a bad environment. It's been a bad culture since Richardson owned the team. Now you've got David Tepper, who is basically, this guy here has got the attention span of a gnat, which means that they really don't stick to their formula on trying to develop anybody. But they're getting better, okay? You're playing a team right now that's playing at high octane, okay? This is going to be their Super Bowl. Zander, you're going to get the Carolina Panthers' best effort today because this is going to be how they're going to evaluate whether or not, think about it. Dan Morgan is a dear friend of mine. He's the general manager of the Carolina Panthers. You're going to be looking right now, is that a guy that I'm rolling out to sea with? Is that a guy that I want on this football team? You're playing for jobs right now, okay? This is a big game for that team on who's going to go forward with them. Having a little technical difficulties here. Let's see here.
Give me a sec, everybody.
That's
Sorry.
brother. We're good.
You got me now?
Yep, we're good.
All right, the mic came disconnected again. Looking at this game here, Sills, I'm going to give everybody the inactives. We'll talk to John in about 7 minutes, and he'll get the update here. It's going to be interesting to see what the Eagles do today, Sills, at safety. No Reed Blankenship, no Sidney Brown, both on the inactive list. So are you looking at Tristan McCullum? Are we looking at Avante Maddox? Where are we looking at that? So that will be interesting. And then Britton Covey on the inactives as well, and everybody else is the usual on there. So nothing standing out on that. And then obviously yesterday the Birds put Dallas Goedert on IR, so he'll be out for at least the next 4 games. So some attrition here late in the year,
Absolutely.
Big Stills. But that safety position is going to be interesting to see what they do today. If they put Avante Maddox back there, count a couple big plays happening on him, because he seems to be a
I think they are going to
for giving up the big play this year.
You know why I think they will? Because Vic wants experience back there.
Yeah,
and
it's true.
He's gonna put him now. He did say something about Tristan McCallum last week, that he said he really likes the player. He likes the way the player moves. He likes the way the player, he thinks it's more reps. So they're probably going to split time back there. But again, Zander, do the Carolina Panthers have any threats that are going to threaten that safety position? There's really only one guy they have. To me, that's the running back. So there is a little bit of attrition. Guess what?
I kind of like Adam Thielen over there too. I know he's older. I know he's past his prime.
Great route runner.
He's a great route runner. He's one of those guys who will pick apart the zone if you let him. And, he's only played, I think, 5 games this year for them. Let me double check where he is. But I think, he's only played 5 games this year, but he has 265 receiving yards. He's been okay. And then they also have that Xavier Legette, who's played in all of their games. Only 393 yards for him, but they're not bad. I mean, they're not obviously great, but they're not bad there. There is some targets there. It'll be interesting to see too, with young corner Sills. How do they match up with a guy like Thielen, who's been around the league a long time, has seen every type of cornerback?
They've kind of got the medicine here a little bit. Chuba Hubbard, man, he's on pace for 1,400 yards this year.
Yeah, he's good.
Having a really good football season.
They gave him a big contract a couple weeks ago, didn't they?
Absolutely. So the O-line, him, could they make it interesting if the Eagles come out of the gate in that first quarter and they start flopping around like they have all season long? Could they? They have flopped. By the way, let's just go with what they are. They have flopped around in that first quarter. Right. Do you keep them in the game? The more you keep here, if I'm Carolina, Zander, my number one goal is to get to the second half, keep that game close, make it a fourth quarter football game. Maybe because of, get this, look at what you've lost now in the last 4 weeks. You lost BG, and for a game like this, Reed's out, Goddard's out, you've got Brown out, you've got banged up people, and at the perimeter, you're kind of limited when it comes to setting the edge right now. And N'Kobe got banged up last week. So you're starting to see it a little bit here on that side of the football, the defensive side. Remember something, the Eagles aren't very big over there. They're one of your smaller units. I mean, outside of the 2 defensive tackles, that's not an overly whelming football team. That's a big football team, okay? Yeah. That's not a football team that you're sitting there and going, yeah, right. I mean, so this is something to keep an eye on, especially if they start farting around in the first quarter.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, and more so, it's unproven on the edges, right? I mean, you're relying right now on Nolan Smith, who's a second-year player, didn't play much last year. I think he's having a nice season. I'll give him credit. He's up to 4.5 sacks. He's been finding his rhythm a little bit more. But between him and Jalix Hunt, I mean, that's who you're relying on. And getting later in the year, Sills, when the games start to mean a little bit more.
When you're a running football team like Carolina too. Dude, Carolina wants to go on 14-play drives. They want to go on a lot of drives to keep that offense. Dude, the way you keep yourself in a football game is to keep the Eagles on the sidelines. Do they have the components? Like you said, they got a route runner in Thielen, and they got a guy who's going to get 1,400 yards this year running. And the most important thing, Zander, they got the 5th best O-line in football. As bad as everything is, their issues, once again, reside over on the defensive side of the football. They can't stop anybody on the run, and they really can't stop anybody in the passing game. However, they have been getting better and healthier as you said, over the last month. Nick said it too last week. Hey, this team's got our attention. Okay, we got to go out there and we're going to have to play 60 minutes of football. I can't tell you, Zander, enough when I first got into the league and you played against a really great Bears team. They were 2 years removed from the 85 Bears. I played against Walter Payton in the 87 Bears. They won 12 ball games that year when they used to play 16 games. I said, oh, wow, this is really – we played them. We lost like 1 point to them. Then we go to Green Bay, and Green Bay only had 4 wins. And I went, oh, we're going to kill this team. Dude, I can't tell you how hard that was, and they played harder. And the difference between 6-10 or 7-10 and 10-7 in the NFL is about 20 plays a game.
Yep.
That's the difference between the two.
Yep.
When you're talking. That's how close this is. Everybody's a talented team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Good stuff there. Sills, real quick, we'll get John McMullen in a second. I do want to hit Famu. Thanks for becoming a member, brother. We appreciate that. For those who don't know, we give away a Saquon Barkley jersey every time he goes over 125 yards from scrimmage in a game. That's catching, that's running, whatever it might be for Saquon. If he gets more than 125, we'll give away a jersey to a member. And speaking of it, Josh Herman, one of our jersey winners as well, checks in. As the year winds down and teams are knocked out of the postseason, what's the motivation for the players? Is it just job retention? That's a good question, because I think people do wonder, other than the paycheck you're getting, when you're a team that's got no chance, you fight a little different than when you're a team who's, looking at the postseason.
And not only that, but my contracts and all my incentives in there, like this guy Chuba Hubbard, who's there. If he gains 1,400 yards, there's probably a $500,000 bonus in there for him. And there's for the O-line if they finish in the top 15 or 20 when it comes to rushing. Every single player. That's why you don't see a lot of players in the NFL, Zander, pulled out, even if your record sucks, because you're playing for 75% of the playing incentives that are in your contract. Do you know that if I get paid 75, if I play 75%, if I'm a Carolina Panther and I play 75% of the plays this year, do you know what that usually means? I get an additional roster bonus for being on the team of maybe $400,000. So there's a lot these players are playing for. You're not just playing for the record that you have. You're playing for the contract that you cut with the organization as well. That's why you can't take a Sunday off, because guys aren't just going to lay down and go, hey, I'm going to throw $500,000 away. Hey, you know what? We're not doing well. Let's just not do it. This ain't college.
Yep, no doubt. Good stuff there from Big Sills. We'll get to John McMullen joining us live now from Lincoln Financial Field. Let's get the sights and sounds of the stadium. Johnny Mac, welcome to the pregame show, my friend. How you doing on this Sunday morning? A nice day for football in Philly, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, beautiful day. A little bit. It's been really cold the past few days, so it warmed up a little bit. Should be about as pristine as you could hope for this time of year in Philadelphia. So no issues from a weather standpoint. Clear day. Can see Center City easily from South Philadelphia. So everything perfect weather-wise. I don't know if the opponent is perfect, but should be a nice day of football. And we're going to have Frisbee dogs at halftime, so that's the main event.
Yeah, well, John, we'll have to keep the halftime show brief today so that you can check out some of the Frisbee dogs catching. John, what's the update here on the inactive list? I know it came out. I read them out, but, 2 safeties out for the Birds. What you make of the inactives today, and then on both sides of for both teams, anything stick out to you other than that?
Jadeveon Clowney not playing for Carolina is a big kind of thing, because, that's a guy that Lane Johnson swears by. Just tremendously gifted player. Even though he's bounced around a little bit, everybody knows how physically gifted he is.
He's got a history in that stadium too, Johnny Mac.
Yeah, Eagles fans are tweeting that he's scared to face them. I
didn't see that.
6'5", 260-pound edge rusher. I think he'll be fine. He's got a knee problem, so he's not going to be able to play. But not that it's going to make that much of a difference. I talked about this game. I don't know. Somebody bet $3.1 million on
I saw that, John.
Yeah, it's very rare. You see it all the time in college where you have these gimme games. It's very rare you have a gimme game in the NFL. I'm not going to say this is, but this is about as close as you get to that. As long as the Eagles get off the bus, and they're on the field now, so they've gotten off the bus, they're here. They should be able to persevere. That doesn't mean there's not going to be hiccups and the human nature of, letting out a little bit of a breath and saying, we had Baltimore, we got Pittsburgh coming up. I don't like the term trap game. I do like human nature game. I think there might be some playing down to the opponent, but then the Eagles will adjust, and I just don't see how Carolina keeps up with them.
Hey, John, the only thing that I would say for this game would be this. They have a few components to make it interesting early. What I mean by that is they have the kid Chuba Hubbard, who's on pace for 1,400 yards. John, they have the 5th best ranked O-line. It's not a bad group. It's a pretty good group. They got a kid.
That is.
Adam Thielen that can run pass routes. Clowney, again, to your point, some guys match up great and some guys just don't. I don't know what it was, but Clowney always had a really great battle with Lane. Lane probably had a better job against Nick Bosa and does a better job against Bosa than Clowney. There's just certain guys that match up against it. I'm not saying that Clowney ever got the better of Lane, but I'm saying there's just certain guys. John, again, if I'm Carolina, I want to get it close. They've been playing better over the last month. They have really nothing on defense to keep anybody kind of interested in this, but I'm looking for rhythm, get healthy or stay healthy, get through the run through the tape, get on to Pittsburgh, because the difference between Detroit and Philadelphia, John, will be this. Who's the healthiest getting to the finish line? You saw Goddard now put on IR. I don't know what that means in the postseason for him. You see Reed now out here a little bit. I think this is going to come down to the war of attrition these next 5 weeks to see whether Detroit's healthier or the Philadelphia Eagles are healthier.
Yeah, long term, no doubt about it. The Eagles are expecting Dallas Goedert back for the playoffs. He'll be eligible to be there in Week 18 now. Whether he comes back for that game or not depends on, is it meaningful in Week 18 for the Eagles? Obviously, if it isn't, he's probably not going to come back until the postseason. But they do expect him back. Bryce Huff is a little bit more iffy. Detroit's got so many injuries on the defense right now. Alim McNeil, Brian Branch, the latest. But a lot of those guys are expected to be back over the next number of weeks. So the team you face in January projected to be is probably going to be a lot better. Now, the Eagles aren't talking about that. They're not thinking about that. There's a lot of road. There's a lot of steps to go before you get to that. And this is the first one. You mentioned that offensive line. I've been talking about that all week. Typically, it kind of surprised me when I started diving deeper into the Panthers. 9 times out of 10, when you have a bad football team, you have a bad offensive line. That's not the case with Carolina. They have a very good offensive line, very good. Got 2 guards, Robert Hunt, Damian Lewis, are playing at a pretty high level. Ika McWanu is a former first-round pick, very, very talented guy. Taylor Moton, Brady Christensen. They got 3 tackles. Most teams don't have 2 who can play at a high level. So 2 things that tells me. A, Carolina could be one of those teams that turns it around pretty quickly in years coming. But B, that's a big indictment on Bryce Young. Because normally when you have young quarterbacks struggling, they almost always have bad offensive lines. He's had a good offensive line, and he's still struggling. Now, that said, he's played a lot better since they rebooted it, since they benched him and brought him back. And he's obviously got talent. You don't become the number 1 overall pick without talent, but he's really got to start showing some things to be the long-term answer in Carolina. And, this is part of it. I heard you guys talking about what makes players play in the NFL. Even more than the contract stuff, I would say it's everybody's watching the film.
Yeah.
So if you're not going to be playing in Carolina and you give up in Carolina and you think somebody else wants to pick you up, it's not going to look very good on your resume. So that I would even put that ahead of the contract stuff.
Absolutely, John. You never want to put bad tape out there for somebody to see something here. By the way, too, John, Their edge rushers aren't awful. Ashawn Robinson, he's having a decent season. He looks like he can get around the corner there. He's projected to have about 5 or 6 sacks this year. And, again, there's some components that Dan Morgan, the general manager, who's a Hurricane friend of mine, that they're going to be able to build. But you're right, John. They've got to get that quarterback situation figured out. Whether or not Bryce Young's the guy or not, they got to figure out if that guy's the guy. And so these next 5 weeks will tell them a little more about him.
Yeah, and this is a really difficult matchup for them on paper because you have the number 1 defense coming in, great passing defense coming in with Philadelphia. So if Bryce Young can show some things, and that'll be a key to showing this organization, all right, maybe we do have something. Maybe we got it right. Maybe it just took a little bit of time. So there's plenty to play for when it comes to the Carolina Panthers. I just don't think they have the horses, to keep up over 60 minutes. They might play a good quarter. They might have a good couple drives, but I just don't see it over 60 minutes.
Zander, may I ask John McMullen a question here? John, I've never seen a guy get more shit in my life than you. And I'm going to tell you why. You make a comment about Quinyon Mitchell playing in Vic Fangio's zone defense. Yeah. And I go like this. I heard John say it. John is exactly right. They play about 3% press coverage. And all of a sudden, everyone thinks you're indicting the guy. You're like, no, he's having a really good year inside that system. Then you look at Jalen Ramsey. By the way, the Dolphins are having a good year pass defense themselves because they're back to playing press coverage. There's no rip here with this. Those two guys they got in the draft were zone cover guys when they were at Iowa and Toledo. I can't believe that people don't know the difference. When, like Vic Fangio was saying it too. Now, with Cooper DeJean is not playing the slot corner. The slot corner is more like a safety position. He said they're 2 completely different positions. I don't really think people know what they're talking about sometimes when you're trying to define what a defense is. It's insane. I said it. I got people on my Twitter right now killing me. What do you mean there's a lot? And I'm like, that guy doesn't play press ever.
Well, he does have a pretty high-rated grade in man coverage, too. I know he's playing more zone, but his man coverage grade is pretty good.
But Zander, when you play – okay, let's just say this. So he plays 2 out of 10 plays, press coverage. Is that a lockdown corner to John and I's definition? You know what he is? That's not.
Well, again, Zander asked me this question during the week. I don't even know if I'm getting that much crap. I assume I am, but I assume I'm always getting all kinds of crap. all I tried to say, and I said, the guy's having a great rookie year. The Eagles play the vast majority in zone schemes. And when they do play what people think is man, it's usually man match when you're playing quarters or something, and you're sticking, you have man principles in his zone covers. When he gets out of your zone, you give him to the next guy. You hand him off. Typically, when people like Dan and I talk about press coverage, talk about lockdown corners, we're talking about press coverage corners that lock down the side of the field. The Eagles don't play that way. For those who think I'm insulting Quinyon Mitchell, he's not allowed to be a lockdown. They don't play that way. They don't play that way. And I think people should have a real affinity for Vic Fangio's style of defense because of the way the Eagles are performing. But to say he's locking down the side of the field, you don't know what they're doing. I always turn people towards at the Honest NFL, does a great job, breaks down the whole, almost breaks down every game, exact play by play, what coverages the Eagles are in. Go look at it on Twitter. They don't play press coverage. It's not an insult to the kid. In
John,
a lot of ways.
Eric Allen said the same thing on my program. I wish I could play in that defense. But he goes, because he's excelling at it. And I'm going like, it's not a rip, John. I mean, look, when I think of Quinyon Mitchell, do I see like a Darrelle Revis? Darrelle Revis was a press corner. That's not what he is.
No, it's not. And for people who think he is, they don't understand what they're watching. I'm sorry.
Yes, Andrew.
You can get mad at me.
Sileo has to throw. Here's Sileo. Here's the wrench in Sileo's hand. Let me toss the wrench into the pregame show.
Okay,
Johnny Mac,
wait a minute. This I'm blaming for this on McMullen. He started this shit. He's the one that
nobody knows how to blow something up better than Big Sills, though. Johnny Mac, is this a big Saquon day? Obviously, 31st ranked run defense in the NFL. Is the game plan as simple as run, Saquon, run, and then put your starters on the bench? I mean, it seems like it might be that simple today. What do you expect to see from Saquon Barkley?
Yeah, I mean, look, I want this team to get their passing game going. I'd utilize this as an opportunity to do that. I know you don't have Dallas Goedert, but you're getting Devontae Smith back, and then sort of lean. They got to fix it. I know people don't care because they're winning games, but they got to fix the passing game. So how do you fix the passing game? Well, you got to pass the ball occasionally. Why not try to do it in a game like this, where you can probably, if it doesn't work, default to Saquon in the third quarter, and that's basically what they've been doing anyway. And maybe you're up 2 touchdowns and you can rest players in the fourth quarter. I don't know. I try to take advantage of this particular situation and try to get the passing game going. But yeah, I mean, their front is terrible on paper. The Eagles' offensive line is phenomenal. Saquon's having an MVP season. If this were really a game that you thought they could potentially lose, maybe you lean on Saquon from the get-go. I want to get that passing game going. Get some confidence in it, figure something out, and take some of the workload off the poor guy. Because you need him. You don't need him. What's today? Ed Kratz, December 8th. Ed Kratz next week. December 8th, and you don't need Saquon on December 8th. You need him in January in Detroit. So, do I want to give him 30 carries against the Carolina Panthers? Not really. I want him to take it easy.
We'll see what they end up doing there. Do you think it will be a day where they do that, John? Do you think they will pass the ball more today? Devontae Smith's coming back. You have no Dallas Goedert, but shoot, Devontae Smith's been, he's been an afterthought most of this year and this season. Will they try and get him going more today with his return?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, they haven't done it. That's the whole point. Like, I am very concerned about this passing game. And I know nobody cares because they're winning games, and they have a chance to tie the franchise record for consecutive wins in the season today with 9 straight, and they should. But to me, it's not about Carolina. Now, that's what Nick Sirianni will tell you. He's not thinking ahead. I'm thinking ahead. I'm allowed to think ahead. And for them to go where they want to go, they got to pass the ball better.
John, they're not winning a Super Bowl with this style. They're just not. They're not winning it. I do not believe.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I don't believe that you can be the number 1 ranked rushing attack in the NFL and the 5th worst passing attack in pro football. I just don't believe it. And when you look at Detroit is 4th in passing. They're 5th in rushing. They've got balance everywhere. Their old line is compatible with the Eagles. Their issues are probably, like you said, John, they'll get those healthy guys back later in the year here towards the playoff times on defense. That's where their issue is going to be. But let's not forget something, John. They're one of the best teams in the NFL when it comes to points against as well. I mean, so that's, to me, if you don't get that passing game going and you can't prove that you can win a ball game if you have to, like Goff can. And by the way, I'm no Jared Goff honk. But, John, if they need that guy to go for 286 and 3 touchdowns or 4 touchdowns, they can do that. Do you believe Hurts can do that right now? Hey, we've seen it in the past, but, John, I really haven't seen that in a year and a half.
No, I haven't seen it this year, certainly. And that's a concern because even if you talk about Green Bay upsetting Detroit, hopefully, from an Eagles perspective, they can throw the ball all over the yard if they get hot. Minnesota can throw the football all over the yard if they get hot. Can the Eagles? I don't know.
Listen, I'd like to push back on both of you and say the Birds can do it because they're defense. But here's the one concerning thing I will say, and all of Eagles fans should listen to this. And Sills, you and I talked about this on Friday's show. This is the bottom 5 teams in passing offense yards per game this year. And this is not a group you want to be lumped in with, especially when you're a Super Bowl contender. The Patriots are worst. Giants are second to worst. Titans, Panthers, Eagles. That's not a good list of teams right there. I mean, John, it's like Sirianni. You don't want to be bottom 5 in anything. Well, you don't want to be bottom 5 in passing offense, certainly one of the most important metrics.
No.
Yeah, but Xander, what you said, though, Xander, when you say, hey, listen, I think they can, it's because you're looking at the skill set talent that John and I see. Also, Devontae, AJ, Goddard when healthy, O-line, running back, the quarterback. There's no question. But they get this. Show me. Don't tell me. Show me. And they haven't.
It's just it's more the defense for me. I mean, if defense keeps them in games and it allows them to play their offense however they want late in the games. But we'll see. I mean, listen, we'll see how it all plays out. But it should be interesting to see. John, any other keys to this game right now for you that you see either defensively or offensively for this team going into this 1 p.m. matchup? Birds are 10-2.
Look at the field right now, and they are dressed, and they haven't made it to the stadium, so all's clear. Winning the football game.
John, you think it's going to be that easy today?
But hey, I'm worried more about the dogs, man. I want to see the halftime show with the dogs. That's because I like Frisbee dog.
They won't even show that on the TV. Johnny Mack.
The only way Carolina can win this game is defensive touchdown, special teams stuff, some kind of catastrophe. As long as the Eagles play smart, you can turn her over once, even twice, just as long as it's not a 4 or 5 turnover game, just as long as you don't give up a block field goal or a punt return or something like that. They're gonna win the game pretty easily.
Good stuff, Johnny Mack. Final prediction and expectation for you, brother, and we'll let you get out of here.
I got the Eagles winning 34-17, and some random winning whatever $3.1 million gets you with plus 13 or whatever.
I think he will get that as well. Johnny Mack, thanks for joining, brother. We will talk to you on the halftime and the post-game show.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, Johnny Mack. Good stuff there from John McMullen joining us from Lincoln Financial Field. Got to deal with both of these. Old head, knucklehead, get off my lawn, Quinyon Mitchell there. 8 straight, 10-2.
What's that got to do with his style of play?
Well, what do you when you say Quinyon Mitchell, and then I look at this tweet that came out this week. Let me find it because all the great people of JAKIB Nation shared it to me. Go and give me a follow on X at Real Zander. I love when the people share stuff with me. This guy, Turk Daddy Dollar, one of my followers here, he sends me this. He says, "Hey Zander, what the heck is John talking about?" And he says, PFF puts out a tweet yesterday. The highest graded cornerbacks in man coverage this year with a minimum of 125 snaps. Quinyon Mitchell, number 1 at 82.2.
They
and
don't
Cooper
play
DeJean,
man.
number 2 at 81.2.
75% of their defense in zone coverage. He's not a man cover corner. Nobody said he couldn't play it. He doesn't play the scheme. Nobody is saying he can't play it.
Sileo will go through hell or high water to find a way to destroy that corner.
Wait a minute. Your coordinator doesn't play it. This is not a rip. Nobody said he couldn't do it.
125 snaps minimum.
They don't do it. This is not what they do.
They played 12 games. He's played at least 125 snaps. They're playing at least 10 games.
You know how many snaps have been played? Times 60 times 12. And how many snaps have been played this year? They average 60 snaps.
Yeah, 720 snaps around.
Okay, so he's played 125 snaps in press. Great.
Lockdown Quinyon. Still can't handle the Eagles having a lockdown cornerback.
Snaps. What's his name? Mitchell has played 100 of those pressing, which means he plays 3 a game. Press cover.
Every nickname for Quinyon. Let's just start calling him Lockdown Q. So we can
that's what he is.
And Johnny Mack up.
Get this. You're calling him a lockdown in a zone defense. Oh, yeah, okay. Try
He's the
not to
highest
sound like
graded
a
man. He's
buffoon.
the highest graded cornerback in man coverage this entire season.
Yeah, get this. He's like Jalen Hurts. Hey, Jalen Hurts has got a great completion percentage. But wait a minute, he only throws the ball 4 times a game. This guy, like, he throws the ball like he plays. You know who he reminds me of? What's that Bryson Daly guy at Army? That's who Jalen Hurts reminds me of.
I
that
love watching Bryson Daly play. Bryson Daly got that Army football.
Wait a minute. Bryson Daly has 11 wins now, man. He's got a high percentage.
They're cooking, man. I love it. I love seeing Army succeed. Sig Lord says Clowney out. Yeah, Clowney is out, Sig Lord. Thanks for checking in, brother. We appreciate that. My man, Philly Don checks in. If you look closely, you can see Philly Don is wearing his new JAKIB hat in his profile picture there. Philly Don, thanks for your support, my friend. He said, I want to see the offense come out in the first quarter running more RPOs and play action, but if they come out running the ball, stay with it if it's working. Simply said, Philly Don, I think you're right there, brother. Come out. What do you think of that? Do you think they will start to implement more RPOs? Because I think they're starting to ramp them up, and they were more successful with it last week.
He was great in it last week. I mean, Zander, I believe he threw over the middle, right? And I think that touchdown pass came off that RPO that he threw to the back of the end zone to Goddard, man. Hey, dude, well, you know what? They're starting to run now 22% more RPOs than any other team in the league because, again, you got to start looking like Army football. And so, that's kind of what they have. They have a great running back, and now they have a great second running back quarterback. But like you said, they're probably just going to go like this. Flick. And then they're going to throw for 358 yards when they need it and 4 touchdowns. And, that's probably what's going to happen. Not. All right. We're going to be all right.
Josh Herman checks in. Sills, I die laughing when the glasses come off. Yeah, that's when you know Sills is pissed off at Big Z. He's like, I gotta dispute this guy again.
Big Sills doesn't get pissed. Big Sills gets pissed on.
Oh my God, you have been miserable. You know what I've noticed? Every week it's been like a little bit more cranky than the last. And the only thing I can chalk it up to is that the Eagles just keep winning. It's 8 straight, and after the last 8 weeks consecutively, Sills is a little bit more cranky on that Monday edition of the show.
You ever gone to the Penn Relays over at Franklin Field?
I have, yes, I have.
And you see a guy halfway through the race. The difference is that Zander halfway through the race is waving to the crowd, and he's going like this and waving to the crowd as everyone else passes him by. He's waving to the crowd because he thinks he's won the race already. So he's waving over at the Franklin Field going, hey, everyone, how you doing? And I'm going to win the Penn Relays. And you're like, how'd I finish last?
Listen, we have a new metric
right now on December 8th. Go ahead, man.
Silio's cranky, then that means Philly fans should be happy because that means we're winning, baby, every week. Good stuff there. VJ checks in. So he says, why does Sills continuously hate on Hurts? Honestly, wait, before you answer, let me speculate. He doesn't believe in him, VJ. Until Hurts raises the Super Bowl trophy, and even then he might still not give him credit. He'll be calling him who's the guy, the famous shitty player that everybody refers to that won a Super Bowl?
Trent Dilfer.
Yeah, Trent Dilfer. He'll be calling him then. But until Hurts raises that trophy, Sileo will tell you each and every single day that the Birds will never win it with him.
You're never going to win a Super Bowl with him. You're just not. You're not winning with him. He is not good enough as an NFL dude. Like I told you, he was replaced at Alabama for a reason. You know what that was? They wanted somebody who can play the quarterback position better, and that's followed him. He has not improved as a passer. He's just not, and that's why now they're putting a fullback in. That's why they're now running RPOs higher at a 20. By the way, for the record, I did tell you this. You keep playing him like you did in 22, you do have a shot. You do have a shot. And they're getting, you know what's funny? I say that Q plays a zone. I mean, that's what Vic tells you he plays. And that's a rip. I tell you, I want him to look like 22, and you might have a shot at actually winning a Super Bowl. And it was like, well, wait a minute. Now you're saying he's not Josh. He's not. He's not any of those guys. But he can be a one-of.
Let's just talk about how good this man is playing while being discredited right now. He's
so good. His offense is the 5th worst
right here on the JAKIB. I shouldn't even allow it.
Get this.
Here we go.
The fifth worst passing offense in pro football.
Okay,
He's
here we go.
run by this guy.
Here we go. Sileo loves to talk the shit on the quarterback. They're near the same total yards as Josh Allen, a better completion percentage, one less total touchdown, the same amount of interceptions, and the same record. The guy's playing lights out. It doesn't look like Big Sills wants it to look. So,
Okay, no. Here, get this, folks. James Cook is his running back. Not bad. Here's his receivers. Khalil Shakir. Is that it? Keon Coleman. Dawson Knox. Mark Collins.
Dawson Knox is a good player.
Curtis Samuel. Ray Davis. Amari Cooper, who's got 136 yards right now. Quentin Morris. Those are his players. He does not have Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, and that old line. And most importantly, he doesn't have Saquon Barkley. But hey, it's probably even.
It's a good listen. I hear what you're saying, but that doesn't mean I'm going to use it as this overall blanket argument that the quarterback's not playing good. He's
so if
playing
you have
good
a guy
enough.
winning as much and doing as much with lesser talent, who are you going to want?
Yeah, but what are we playing for? A personal accolade?
He's not playing. He's 10-2.
We're not playing for a personal award here. Jalen has better talent. Okay, I'm not going to use that to discredit the quarterback. He's doing what he needs to do to win with this football team. No,
take your guy. I'll take Josh Allen.
Okay, good. Jalen Hurts has been farther than Josh Allen.
So is Jimmy Garoppolo been further, and so is Jared Goff. Use that metric. He's been
Jared Goff looks good right now. I'm not a Jared Goff hater.
Too.
I'm not a Jared Goff hater like many, but I have no issue with the way Jalen Hurts is playing right now, winning football and doing a good job at that for this football team. Big Sills, got about 15 minutes left on the show. We will get our predictions in here pretty soon. I think they're going to be, we kind of tipped our hand already as to where we're going on the prediction. But anything else, Sills, that sticks out to you in this game? You know, I think you can talk about this pass defense for the Eagles, shutting them down. You can talk about Saquon going up against his run defense. It's absolutely awful. What do you expect to see in this game?
I'd like to see more Jalen Hunt.
Okay, I like that.
I'd like, because you're going to need him if you're not getting Huff back. And by the way, if you get Huff back, what are you getting when you get Huff back?
Yeah.
I mean,
a rotational player, a guy that can play snaps. That's probably it.
Exactly. I'd also like to see them play a little bit better against the run, unlike they did last week. A little bit better. Now, again, dude, Baltimore is a great run offense. I mean, you know, not to disparage anything they did last week, because I thought they stopped them what they usually do. That's a great running attack when you have Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry. That's really great stuff. But again, I'd like to consistently see, and I want to see Jordan Davis consistently in there, maybe get a couple more reps, helping out Jalen Carter a little bit. The safety position, Xander, this might be a time right now where you start to get a little bit of opportunity where you get more rotation pieces and try to get some guys back there and see what you have. Dude, Avonte Maddox, he's got to be a factor for them. I mean, every time he steps on the field, he's just not good over there, man. I mean, he's not had a great year. By the way, Slay, is he playing? Is Slay playing?
He wasn't on the inactive list, but I can't. Let me see if I can.
He was in and out of the lineup the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, I know. He's been in and out pretty consistently this whole entire year, which is, been an issue. Slay's not on the inactive list, so I'm assuming he's going to play. Now, I'm not on social media right now, obviously, doing the show, so I haven't been able to see if they've put out the starter yet, but he's not on the inactive list, so we will see if Slay will be out there, and we'll see how that goes.
Absolutely so. Just to keep improving over on that side of the ball, I want to see those edge rushers get a little bit more reps, Nolan Smith as well. I'd like to see a little bit more pressure out of those guys, because that will help the secondary. And by the way, maybe a Shipley and Gainwell game after Saquon gets the 109. What is it, 106 or 109? He needs to pass Shady for the all-time single season.
Right around there.
In that number there. I want him to get that too, by the way. And I know I even saw Shady on social media saying that he's looking forward to passing the baton to him on having a great year. One more time, though, Xander, if you're the New York Giants and you're watching him go by Shady McCoy and you're going by 1,600 yards, dude, let me just put it this way. When you go by 1,500 yards in a rushing season, okay, that's when you start doing this. Whoa. Okay. You're in 1,100 yards, 1,200 yards. Great year. Do you know you only have to average 61 yards a game to get 1,000 yards over 17 games, right? So when you're up near $2,000, Hoss, you're averaging around 90, 100 yards a game.
I know.
And you're up there in Jim Brown area. And if you're the Giants, man, you're doing this. Holy cow, don't let that – dude, not only don't let that guy go to the Eagles, don't let that guy win the MVP.
Dude, if he wins, can you imagine the conversations in New York if he
let
wins?
the MVP of the league walk out the room with no compensation. Nothing.
This must be. I mean, they suck a lot of years, the New York Giants, so they're probably used to sucking like they are right now. But this must suck even more to watch Saquon Barkley light the league on fire.
This goes back to the Pisarcik days, and this goes back to when they were winning only three or four football games. So now that's where they are right now. And you're right. I mean, Dave Gettleman and this guy Joe Schoen have absolutely destroyed it. And you brought it up, and I put the numbers to it. They're 51-102 in 10 years. And that's an organization that had Tom Coughlin and Jerry Reese and George Young at one time running it. These two guys have run that organization into the ground. And now you're looking, and I said it too, look at the two New York teams. Micaiah Becton is on the O-line, who's probably going to be all pro. And then you got Saquon Barkley. Hey, thank you, New York. Hey, I love New York. Every Eagle guy should be going, hey, guess what? I love New York. You give me Micaiah Becton and Saquon Barkley.
I know, right?
I love New York.
Yeah, should be pretty good stuff to see there. Good stuff, Sileo. We got a couple super chats here that are ripping the man, Big Sills. Anthony Wilson says 125 minimum, Sills, that Miami education.
Oh, yeah.
Sills wasn't down there to learn.
Your coordinator says it every week in his presser. They play zone. They don't play man. He plays 75% zone. Hey, don't complain to me. Complain to Vic.
Mesmerized checks in. What's up, brother? Hold up. Sills, I love you, and I'm going to let you finish. Jalen had one of the best Super Bowl performances of all time. Kanye West voice. I like that.
Was about 2 years ago? That's like, honestly, I mean, dude, that's so far ago. I forgot. Oh, yeah, he did play great in that game. That's right, he did. That's the best game he's played in the last 2 years.
By the way, just breaking news coming out now. The college football playoff has been released.
Bama's out.
Bama is out.
Wow.
You hate to see it. You
No
hate
doubt.
to freaking
You
see
put a
it.
shitty SMU team in there.
SMU's 11 and Clemson's 12.
They put Clemson at.
Yep. Well, that's what I knew was going to happen. They pushed Bama out and they moved Clemson. Look, I'm not saying Clemson didn't deserve it, but as a Bama fan, don't lose 3 games in the regular season and leave your fate up to SMU to beat at Clemson in the ACC championship. Just stupid. Win the games. They lost to Vanderbilt. I'm going to feel bad for Alabama. They lost to Vanderbilt. I mean, come on.
Hey, one message here I would say, if I were any college football program that's a big-time program, in my opinion, what I would do, I'd load up on turkeys like Notre Dame does. Even if I get beat by Northern Illinois at home by a 7-win team and don't play one ranked team I could get into.
They got to come up with a rank scale on opponents and judge it based on points or something. They got to figure out something there. Good point. Anthony Wilson says, Hurts hasn't had Brown, Goddard, and Smith in 24. They've missed a combined 12 out of 12 games. So miss me with the Allen has less talent crap.
Matt Allen does have less talent. How about the O-line? He doesn't have Barkley.
Yeah, come on, Anthony. I see his point, though. There's been somebody missing, but the Eagles have a lot more talent than the Buffalo Bills on offense. No knock on them, but Howie's done a good job. Sills wants us to apologize for Howie doing a tremendous job.
That's what I want you to do.
Oh,
hey,
now
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry you have a really talented team.
Best GM in the NFL. And
no, he's not. Try winning more Super Bowls and then call yourself Brett Veach. That's the best.
Well, he has the great equalizer in Patrick Mahomes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the guy that no one wanted. I mean, everyone was saying, make sure you draft Deshaun Watson or Mitchell Trubisky. And they said that those guys would win games over him. And you know what? And you know what the organization said? They went, no. Actually, it was John Dorsey. It wasn't Brett. He was in the building, but it was John Dorsey who brought him in.
He's the best GM in football.
He is. Well,
Howie is the best GM.
Howie is? Okay, yeah. Hey,
Brett
wake me
Veach
up.
agrees.
Wake me up when Bryce Huff plays.
Brett Veach goes to sleep at night and says, "Man, I love these Super Bowl rings, but damn, that roster in Philly is crazy good,
Wow,
man."
isn't that roster in Philly great? Too bad it doesn't
I'm
cash in.
kidding, everybody. Oh my God. Lighten up. We're about to destroy the Panthers for our 9th straight
Ooh.
win.
Wow. Ooh. Wow, man. A lot
All right,
of turkey
so
on that, a lot of meat on that bone.
It's prediction time for the JAKIB Pregame Show. I want to thank everybody for being here this morning. By the way, Chips and Birds, what's up, my friend? Messiah's in here, Hutch is in here, Teflon, Twiz, Flexing and Stepping Dads. Good to see everybody this morning. I hope you guys enjoy the game today. Big Sills, final thoughts, predictions for this football game today. Set to kick off in about 15 minutes.
Dude, I don't see anywhere where Carolina's in the room here with anything. What you don't want to see is the Eagles to flop out of the first quarter again. You know, you want to get a little bit more rhythm going. Put them away early. You know what I mean? I mean, make it a smooth game. Hey, can we do one thing? Can the Eagles have an easy game? I mean, just finish your business in the first quarter, come out in this third, knock them completely out again, and remind them who they are, and then get the hell out of there and get ready for Pittsburgh. Because you do have look, Pittsburgh is fighting for the AFC North. They're fighting for that with the Ravens. They still got another game with the Ravens on the docket coming up. So they've got a tough angle where they've got to still win their division here. So they're going to play their asses off against, and it's the Battle of PA next week. So I'll say this, man, 38-17. I think that was my prediction. I think they'll get a couple of shitty-ass touchdowns, Carolina, in the second half that won't matter. Make the stats look stupid, but I just don't see this thing being remotely close. Just get the hell out of Dodge. And for me, Zander, this is all going to be about health. Get a little work to at the edges. I'd like to see it with the guys. But at the end of the day, I just don't see where Carolina keeps this thing close.
38-17 for Big Sills. I like a couple people in the chat dropping their predictions. Naz says 28-14. Daz has a big one, 44-10. We got Naz and Daz. I like it. Good stuff there. Messiah, 31-17. El Yepa, 33-13. Everybody's predicting a blowout. It's almost starting to get a little scary. 42-6. Teflon Twiz says 34-23. 48-20 from Terry Hayes. Appreciate everybody checking in on the chat. For me, I'm going 31-13. I think I modified it a little bit from my prediction earlier in the week, but 31-13. I don't think the Eagles are going to score 40 because I don't think they're going to have to. I think they're going to put in.
I don't think they want to.
I don't think they want to. I think they're going to get those guys out of there and maybe a late Panthers touchdown. They haven't had an issue scoring, by the way. They've been decent scoring. They put up some points against the Chiefs, against the Bucs last week. So I think they'll get a couple points on the board. As Sil said, their problem is mainly on defense, right?
Oh, yeah.
Their offense could be in there. NJ, I see you, brother. Don't worry. I'm not ignoring you. NJ, good to see you in here. NJ Fishing Maniac, one of our best supporters here. But 31-13.
Maniac, even you're crying now?
Oh, he's like whining more than Sills.
Holy cow, man. What the hell?
Italians,
It's a
man.
Sunday.
I'm Italian too, but good. Mamma mia. Holy shit. Oy vey. Giving me agita, Big
Oh,
Sills.
shit, man. Get the Briorsky out, bro. What's up with that?
All right, everybody. Enjoy the game today. Big Sills, you enjoyed the game. We'll
Hey,
talk
did we miss Brian Pumper's
we did. My bad, Pump. Sileo will not miss a Pumper Super because he knows it's on his side. Brian says, a bunch of fools in the chat. Jalen Hurts serves you Asperger's and you continue to have an all-you-can-eat season. Hurts stinkers today. Book it. Pumper's getting creative with these, isn't he?
Yes, he is. I love Pumper, man. You're my boy, Pumper. Hey, you're my boy, man. Yeah, absolutely. You're going to be one of my guests at, like Sills Fest. Like Ozfest, we're going to have Sills Fest.
We're going to have a Sills Fest. I like it. That'd be fun, man. Good stuff there. We appreciate everybody checking in today on the pregame show. Hit that like button on your way out. Big Sills, great show today, man. We will talk to you on the postgame show coming up right after. Hopefully the Birds get their 9th straight win. We'll talk to you then. Good stuff, Sills. Good stuff, everybody in the chat. Catch you next time. All right, brother?
You got it, brother. Thanks so much, everybody. Have a great football Sunday.
All right. See you guys on the postgame show coming up after the game.
Ignite your nights with free live entertainment daily, only at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia's Center Bar. 7 days a week, enjoy some of the region's top party bands, performers, and DJs as they take the stage in the heart of the casino action. Great cocktails, live music, and lively moments. It's all happening at Center Bar at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia. Visit livecasinophilly.com for more details and the complete list of upcoming events. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
We noticed that there was mold creeping into our basement about a year and a half ago, and wanted to make sure that we were getting rid of the problem permanently. We actually reached out to several different contractors to get it resolved, and actually 2 of them recommended DryTech to us as a long-term solution. Other than the noise factor, we wouldn't even know that there was work being done on the basement level. It's really been a clean process for us.
Score and save this football season on your car insurance. Before the next game, save up to 40% on your auto insurance policy. That's right, 40% savings. Call an audible this season and contact the Del Val Insurance Group. They're an advocate for you, not an insurance company. That means they'll get you the right coverage and save you up to 40%. Call managing partners Fran or Jim of Del Val Insurance, 215-354-0122, or score and save at dvigi.com. dvigi.com.
EAGLES. Eagles.